are you, Sasha?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to meet you.
It's great to meet you as well. So I wanted to know, with this being the third installment of Power, how would you say that Power Book 3 will hold up against the original Power and Power Book 2 in order to keep the listeners and viewers interested and invested throughout the entire season?
The listeners. Someone's gonna. I want. I want to meet the people who are just gonna listen to it.
Well, I said listeners, I said viewers.
Great question. I think, I mean, it's interesting. When Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent approached me originally about the series, what they said to me was, look, we sort of consider this to be the first true spinoff. And what they meant by that was, Ghost is a pickup. Ghost picks up right where Power left off. It has the same characters and actors that you're familiar with. You're right there. This is a completely different time, world, space. Yes, there are some characters that are from the original Power, but you don't have to have ever watched Power to watch this show. You can come in on the first episode and be completely, ready and able to follow along. But I think that, in terms of how it will hold up against those, I'd like to believe that it has. I was a writer on the first season of Power. So I have a lot of that in my sort of DNA and in my brain. So what I hope is that, while the show does feel very distinct and different than what's come before it, that it still shares some of that DNA. And what I mean by that is that, there's a dynamism. There's like something that's super compelling about the storytelling in Power. And I'd like to believe that this series has something like that, from episode to episode. I mean, I think it does, frankly. I mean, I feel like we have captured a lot of the vibe. While it may be different, and while the story doesn't exist in the same rarefied place as Power in terms of, the drug dealing and truth and all the rest of that, I still think that it feels, from a sort of sensitivity and sensibility standpoint, very similar to the original Power.
So I wanted to know, how have you improved or evolved in your craft since the premiere of Power Season 1?
Good question. Look, writing is like anything else. It's you got to keep doing it to get better. That's the only thing you can do. And it's a job. It's a job. It's just like any other job, and you got to keep doing it. And writers aren't special. I was talking to someone else, and I was saying, the question was, what would you tell an aspiring writer? And what I said was, I used to just say, like, you got to work hard. You got to, what I think I say now is, like, hey man, don't do it. Don't do it unless you can handle rejection. You can handle working 2 other jobs and raising a family and just sitting in front of your computer typing something out on the page that no one may ever read other than you. That's what you have to do. There's this guy, he's a marketing professor at NYU, the business school there, and I saw this interview with him recently, and he said, the worst advice anyone ever gives is follow your passion. He's like, that's bullshit. He's like, what you need to do is do what you're good at. Do what you're good at, then spend the 10, 15, 20,000 hours you need to get great at it. And then I guarantee you'll become passionate about that because you'll have success. You'll have the admiration and respect of your peers and colleagues. You'll be great at that, and you'll be passionate about it. I think that's pretty good advice, and I think that's kind of the advice that I have for myself, which is, I just keep writing, writers write. That's what we do. And that's, that's what I've done. And I'd like to believe that I've gotten better.
Well, certainly, I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.